Welcome to Untold Pioneers, a channel that explores lesser-known stories and untold tales of historical figures, events, and cultural phenomena. Join us as we delve deep into the past to uncover the hidden gems of history. Today we will talk about the truth about the Salem witch trials. In 1692, Salem, Massachusetts, was gripped by a feverish panic that would go down in history as one of the most infamous events in American history. The Salem witch trials. Over just a few months, over 200 people were accused of witchcraft, with 20 ultimately executed by hanging. But what really happened during those dark days? Was it just a case of mass hysteria, or were deeper social and political forces at play? The panic began in February 1692, when a group of young girls claimed to be possessed by the devil and accused several local women of practicing witchcraft. What followed was a frenzy of accusations, trials, and executions that tore apart families and communities. But while the trials are often seen as a cautionary tale about the dangers of religious extremism and paranoia, the truth is far more complex. For one thing, the trials were not just about religion, but also about power. Salem was a deeply divided community, with tensions between different factions over land ownership and political influence. The accusations of witchcraft allowed some to settle old scores and gain an advantage over their rivals. Additionally, the trials were conducted in a deeply flawed legal system, where hearsay and rumor were often considered sufficient evidence. Those accused of witchcraft were not allowed to have legal counsel, and many were convicted on the basis of coerced confessions or even simple gossip. But perhaps the most important factor in the trials was the role of gender. Most of those accused of witchcraft were women, and many were from the lower classes of society. In Puritan New England, women were seen as inherently weaker and more susceptible to sin than men, and their sexuality was deeply policed. Women who stepped out of line, whether by speaking out against the church or simply being too independent, were often accused of witchcraft as a way of controlling them. As the trials continued, public opinion began to turn against them. Some prominent community members, including the governor of Massachusetts, began to speak out against the injustice of the proceedings. Eventually, the courts demanded more concrete evidence before convicting someone of witchcraft, and the panic slowly subsided. But the legacy of the Salem witch trials would live on for centuries. The trials came to represent the dangers of religious fanaticism and the importance of due process in the legal system. They also provided a cautionary tale about the dangers of groupthink and the importance of questioning authority. Most people in Salem still saw the courts as legitimate authorities, and the accusations of witchcraft were taken seriously. Perhaps the most important lesson is the importance of skepticism and critical thinking. It's all too easy to be swept up in hysteria and groupthink, but we can guard against the worst excesses of human folly by questioning authority and demanding evidence. The accusations often resulted from personal vendettas, political power struggles, or simply a desire to deflect blame onto someone else. In other cases, the accused were simply victims of mass hysteria, caught up in the panic and fear that gripped Salem during that fateful summer of 1692. As we've seen, the Salem witch trials were a tragic and disturbing chapter in American history, and they continue to fascinate and horrify us today. But it's important to remember that behind the sensationalized stories of witches and devil worship were real people whose lives were destroyed by a system riddled with fear, prejudice, and ignorance. What is the truth behind the Salem witch trials? What was to blame for the Salem witch trials? Did anyone apologize for the Salem witch trials? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Untold Pioneers for more videos like this one. Thank you for watching.